It's Thursday, it's Chuck and Bob, and we have made it to the final third of the regular season in Indiana and about there in Michigan as well. So let's get started this week in the state of Indiana. Hoosier North Athletic Conference matchup. North Judson and Winnemac are tied for the lead in that conference, but North Judson has to take on Triton on Friday night. Now the Trojans have started well 3-3, but let's look at some North Judson video, Bob. And Cheyenne Allen scoring touchdowns, that's something he does very well.
He's a real electrifying player, and he can get it done. And they've got Logan Radke playing some outstanding defense along with Owen Frazier. Aldrich Harper is a quarterback. Now, doesn't have a great completion percentage, but he's a good leader out there in the field.
And you take a look at this defense. In their 3 Hoosier North Athletic Conference games, they're giving up only about 8 points a game. A lot different than what they've experienced against Tippy Valley and Culver Academy. But we're talking about Triton, 3-3 on the year. They run the football pretty well with a guy named Anthony Shue. Defensively, they've been up and down a little bit this year.
They have been. Amari Snyder does a nice job for them on defense, and their quarterback's doing a good job, and he can run and pass, and that is Cole Shively. He's a good-sized kid, and he's a good leader for them as well.
Could be a very competitive game in the Hoosier North. Now, one of the teams in the Hoosier North, Laville, goes out of conference this week to take on an old rival in John Glenn. Will Host-Rosser's Lancers 4-1. I think the big story for them, Bob, has been defense. They haven't given up more than 14 points in a game this year.
No, and they don't give up the ball much either as far as turnovers, which is a really good sign. That's why Will's been so successful in his time there, 65-29 in his years at Laville. Now, they do have a couple of guys. Paul DeWitt is a good running back for them, and Lucas Plummer had to play as a young man, a freshman, and now he's the veteran sophomore.
Yes, he is. Now, they'll take on a John Glenn squad that the big question on them this week has been, what is the status of Nathan Creed? He missed last week with COVID, but I understand he is back this week. That makes a big difference in an offense that's going to be taxed to score points against that Laville defense.
It really is. And one of the other things that they really need to work on at John Glenn is they had 120 yards in penalty yardage against Knox. Now, you're not going to win any game with that kind of yardage, but they do have Nathan Creed back. They've got Corey Van Huss on defense who's doing a good job. So they've got players. They can play, and really good to see Nathan Creed back in the lineup.
Let's go into the Northern Indiana Conference. The South Division, Gemtown is the leader. Perhaps their last big challenge comes this week as an athletic South Bend, Washington team pays a trip to the banks of the Bog Oak. Todd Stamich's team has missed 2 games with COVID, so the record is only 2-2. They wound up having to play Kokomo last week. Kokomo, really good team that probably a little bit out of Washington's league. We'll see how Washington can stack up with Gemtown, but they do have some athletes. They
do have some athletes. In fact, they're only going to play 7 games this year because of all those delays. So if they can win a couple of games on the way out, they can finish over 500 regular season, which is a nice goal for Coach Stamich. But this team has Marshawn Lottie. They also have Tyshawn Grundy in the backfield. Good athletes. And again, they got to get that offensive line to come together and be consistent. Well,
yeah, because offense is not easy to put up against this Gemtown team. We've seen Corey Stoner's team all year hold down big-time teams like Northwood and Concord defensively. Northwood only scored 7 points, Concord just 14, and 7 of that was from defense. If they can get Trent Daniels and that 3-headed monster running attack with Landon Buchanan and John Two Reed clicking, and they have as of late, they're a dangerous bunch.
They are, and each one of them scored 2 touchdowns in our last game out. So that's pretty impressive, and again, they've got some good players on defense. I like Hunter Conrath has done a nice job for them, and Sam Garner, the safety, has also been solid. So this is a team that's, we thought early in the season they'd be better, and they are.
Rare Saturday night matchup in the NIC Big School Division as Elkhart pays a visit to School Field. 7 o'clock start on the Saturday night of a Notre Dame home game. I'd say try to get there early because traffic could be a mess, and there could be a lot of traffic on the field with this Elkhart offense that put 37 on the board last week, spearheaded by quarterback Brady Cooper. And defensively, boy, did we see Javen Lowe put on a show at Penn, and the big fella can help control the line.
He really can, and they've been outstanding in many ways on defense, and still looking for a couple of guys to step up. But their running back, Elias Leonard, has been outstanding. Rodney Gates is a big-time weapon for them, and as you said, Brady Cooper continues to improve at quarterback, and this is a team that obviously they've made the playoffs just like everybody else. They're going to be good by the end of the season.
Adams, the last 2 weeks, combining for 3 points. Now, I know that's against Marion and New Prairie, but I have the feeling the message that Antoine Jones is giving his offense right now is figure it out, fellas.
Well, they've been trying to figure it out on offense for quite a while. Torn Day, the quarterback, still a very athletic quarterback, but they've got to get more out of James Williams and Adrian Petty on defense. They're young defensively, but they've lost their last two, and they got to figure out a way to score some points.
Yeah, and the defense wasn't bad last week. I mean, they held New Prairie to 9 points, and the last 6 of those coming in the fourth quarter, but they've got to get some help from the offense, just if anything else, to keep the defense off the field and give them some hope. So that's the situation in the NIC. Perhaps the most intriguing game in Indiana this week for our area in the Northern Lakes Conference, Northwood going to Mishawaka. We got an up-close look at the Northwood Panthers last week, and Nate Anders' team put on a show over in Middlebury against Northridge.
They really did. And, Chuck, when you look at who they've lost to, they've lost to 2 very, very good teams. So I think that Northwood has got a very good team. They're 3-1 in conference play, and they really rolled over Northridge last week. Ethan Evers is outstanding. Got to watch him for postseason honors as well. They lost their quarterback, Caden Lone, in an injury, and Owen Rader stepped up, did a nice job. And, Ben Fataruso and Wes Yoder on defense. They got the whole package. I think this is a team that is better than their 4-2 record.
I think so too, and Mishawaka had problems playing pass defense last week against Concord, so that has to give Northwood hope. The big question for Mishawaka is, when is number 2 coming back? Because that's Justin Fisher, and a lot of people think that he might be one of the best players in our area. He's been out for a while with an injury, and Keith Kinder's team, since that time, has not been the same squad.
Now, they're 2-2 since he left, and he is an outstanding player, and they're hoping that his nickname becomes Just in Time, because if he gets back in time for the playoffs, make a big difference. But they've still got Chase Gooden, they've got Chaz Hardy in that backfield. Burris has done a nice job on offense and defense. They've got some weapons on this team, and they know how to run the ball.
I'm really curious to see this Mishawaka defense against that Northwood offense and see what happens on Friday night. And where will we be Friday night? Well, we'll go north of the border and check out the area's hottest team, because Edwardsburg has won 34 consecutive regular season games. They have been number 1 in the Wolverine Conference, and Paw Paw has been number 2 in the Wolverine Conference for the past 3 years. So the question is, can the Red Wolves get better and get past the Eddies on Friday night?
Well, I know that Kevin Bartz has a lot of respect for him. We asked him who might be the best opponent they played during the regular season. He definitely said Paw Paw. And Paw Paw has a reason to be pretty optimistic. They've got some outstanding guys on defense. Carter Planger, Ethan O, and Dennis Stray have done a good job for them. And offensively, Cullen Sylvester and Logan Leonard have been outstanding. This is a team with a lot of talent, and they're 4-1 in the season, and the only loss they had was to Three Rivers in overtime.
But Edwardsburg, man, do they have weapons. I have not seen a team that rolls out as many running backs as the Eddies do, and then you got to find who's got the ball. Jacob Walker is their leading rusher, but he doesn't even have 300 yards for the season because Kevin Bartz just overwhelms you with numbers.
And they have 4 or 5 running backs every week who not only run for about 60, 70 yards, but they score a couple times, and that includes, as you said, Jacob Walker, Connor Ostrander, Logan McCauley. Logan has 7 touchdowns and 3 sacks on defense, and he does a good job on defense. And Brett Allen is a backup. Now listen to this. He's a backup running back averaging 11.7 yards per carry. This is a great program at Edwardsburg. Looking forward to being up there.
You can get caught up in all sorts of numbers. Here's the one you should remember. Edwardsburg has outscored opponents 254-7 this year. Breaking news, they're good. We're going to find out how good on Friday night. Join us at 11 p.m. and Saturday morning at 9. Bob, Bo, and I will be up at Leo Hoffman Field, and we hope you'll join us then. Until then, for Bob Nagel, Chuck Freeby, thanks for joining us on social media.